All right, we are live. Welcome everyone to the Hashtag405 show. It is Sunday, July 17th, 2022. And if my math is correct, because I'm not the best at math, a mere 7 weekends away from first kickoff of the 2022 season. If you're going to be at that game, I'm just saying hydrate now. It's a 2:30 kick. If you have not seen, hydrate now. As usual, I am joined by my good friend and my co-host, Oni Kuno, aka Sean. Sean, how are you doing today? Are you staying out of the sun? Are you staying hydrated?
Listen, I got the nickname being from an Alabama fan as the whitest man in Florida, and you don't get that nickname without staying indoors during the summer. So,
touche.
It takes effort. That takes effort.
That does. So, Sean, you mentioned on your channel that July and August are kind of the slow times at this point.
I've made an amendment. Addendum or what's the word? Amendment to that or
addendum?
Addendum. Yeah, addendum's what I was looking for. I was like, my Wordle brain was going overload. No, July is officially a great month. If you're really good at recruiting, it's a fun month, especially this month, which I'm sure we'll touch on. August is officially the worst month, and some people will go, but we're 1 month away from football. Exactly. Recruiting is in a dead period. You're talking about football constantly every day and you're still waiting. And just the fact that you can talk about football every day for like 30, 31 days straight will drive you insane. Because outside of that's why people will watch preseason NFL games, because they're that desperate when they're total garbage and no one wants to watch them.
Yeah.
Because they start to watch them like, yeah.
I mean, it's fun to see. Funny enough for me, I always thought August wasn't boring because we're talking about preseason, we're talking about lineups, expectations.
It is the absolute worst. I hate it. I hate all. But July has morphed because July has become such a big month for recruiting. If you're an Oklahoma fan, you're very thrilled with the month of July. If you're a Florida Gator fan, you're making racist comments on your message boards. That's what's going on right now.
Yikes.
Not just racist, but really creepy, like school shooter level messages I've seen. They are not happy with Mr. Napier at the moment. He hasn't even coached a game yet. So, they are. And they've gotten a few commits like that I'm sure they were happy with. But man, they are. It is not great to be Florida Gator right now.
Is it because a lot of their talent, is Luke going with Venables, it's going with Alabama? Like, is it?
We don't have a lot of
like that higher.
We don't have a lot of Florida guys committed yet, anyways. But no, it's just Miami is kind of like reasserting its power right now in the state recruiting wise. Florida State is a giant mess. Florida is, falling by the wayside. So, we'll see if Cristobal can make the Hurricanes matter. Because a lot of people have come in, but he's really Cristobal is taking advantage of all the NIL stuff and stuff that Miami historically was trying to under the table get away with, but now they could be out in the open. They got like a big money booster who could say, "Oh, come be one of my commercials." That Life Wallet nobody cares about. But no, Miami is becoming. If you pay attention to recruiting, Miami is like they're top 10 right now. Last I checked, they're number 9 right now in the composite. So they're having a really good month, just like Oklahoma's having a really good month.
Yeah.
So, you would think Miami's killing it right now, but OU's right there with them. So,
yeah, I had a lot of topics. Let's start with recruiting because Sean, I thought we were 3-star university and that we weren't going to break the top 40. That's what.
No. We weren't getting any recruits at all. 3 stars was a pipe dream like a month ago, but no.
We were a dead program.
No, our program was dead. You see. And it always comes from the same people. It's always the state media of Texas Longhorn recruiting. We didn't get what was it, the year or two ago is the Tennessee Twitter account that said we were ranked so and so in recruiting with the tipped Sooner Schooner and everything. Because a month ago at this time we were like in the high 30s, low 40s. And everyone's like, "Oh, Oklahoma recruiting's dead!" Ha ha ha! It's like, and I don't take any of those people seriously because it's like you're judging a recruiting class that won't sign until December, and you're judging it in May,
exactly,
or June, and it's like, and look, I understand. Like, I said this in a video I said this in like 2 or 3 commitment videos ago. That what Brent Venables has already done is it's pretty amazing. It's not that it hasn't been done before, but it's a good sign. A big time coach with a program to sell and a good staff with really great recruiters. I mean, I think you kept Bill Bedenbaugh. Gail Gundy's still on the staff. DeMarco Murray is I don't know where you're ranking him right now, but DeMarco is very slowly becoming like DeMarco still needs to get that guy at running back, like the guy. Like this is like he needs to go get Joe Mixon or something to that equivalent without the horrible suspension. But he needs to go get that guy. That's like all that's left on his wall to like, yeah, I got that. But he got you Sawchuck and Javante Barnes and stuff like that. And we just got a really good kid out of North Carolina too. So
was he the number?
He's the number 1 player of the state of North Carolina. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't want to say that, but I was like,
Dalen Smothers. So Dalen Smothers number. He's like Gatorade Player of the Year, state of North Carolina. Yeah. So, but if he can go and get like that top 10 running back guy, that the ones that Bama tend to get, or whomever. That's the one thing left, but his star is really rising. Todd Bates and not just Todd Bates, Mikael Chavis was kind of like a rookie. He was kind of like an assistant analytics guy or something like that. He's kind of a rookie at his as like a DN's coach. He's killing it right now. Yeah. So because everyone is unified, they're all aligned together. The program is aligned right now, and everyone's on the same page. You can thank Thad Turnipseed and all these guys too, but everything.
Well, that's what you were so excited about, was to get Turnipseed here, because you said like.
Well, first of all, you got that name. You're either really excited or you're distraught. There's no middle ground. So if you have a man named Turnipseed on your staff in one way or another, he's either going to be great or terrible. So far, I think he's doing pretty great because the new LED lights are being installed at the stadium apparently, and everyone's like, checking those out. So we'll have new stadium lights. But the OU's got like 8 or 9 commits since like June 27th or something like that.
Yeah, I have a list right here where we've gotten at least from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 7, and it was like Phil Picotti, Jaquay, I know I'm going to butcher names.
Listen, you're not alone. You're not alone. Like we have multiple commits recently where their last names and sometimes their first names. I'm going to be like, look, I'm going to butcher this. I'm sure I'm going to learn them once. Listen, Toby's got a lot of work to do in the future. As soon as we get to December, that signing class where they have the big signing class, stream, whatever they like to do on Sooner Sports.
Yeah,
that's probably going to be an ESPN Plus now that I think about it. So that'll be awesome. But yeah, he's going to have a lot of work to do. He's going to have to get all the phonetic spellings of those names. So he's going to have a lot of work to do. But you go back to, I think these are in order here. No, of course not. Can I
have a
now 24. Oh wait, let me sort it by name. Will you let me? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
On it, like the ones I had from with it, I had 7 ones. It was Phil, Petaway, Green, Howard, Adebayor. I cannot say. He's the one I'm going to butcher. Smothers.
Adewari.
I can't wait until Toby says the name, so I know how to say the names.
I think it's like Adewari. It's like
Adewari.
Like someone was kind enough to give phonetic pronunciations on one of my YouTube in the comment section, one of my videos, and I'm like, I need to go back and get that. I was listen. I was very happy when we got commitments from guys named Lewis Carter and Caden Green. So I was like, thank you. I'm not going to butcher those names.
I know these names.
Yeah, 24/7 sucks because I can't. Like Rivals will let you sort by commitment date. They won't let you do it on 24/7, which is like upsetting. But regardless,
start with
I mean, I think
was there any up there on that list that was a surprise?
I don't know about. Well, I mean, Lewis Carter was surprised. He kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, came out of nowhere that like, oh, he's going to commit. And yesterday, we were ready for him to commit, and it's like he's going to commit at 3:30. All right, good. He didn't say it specifically, but the problem is that it was at the Under Armour 50 Future Camp or whatever it's called. And they did Troy Bowles, who committed to Georgia, big time linebacker commit, huge get for them. And then Lewis Carter, we're waiting for him, but they didn't do him right away. They were going to go back to camp like at 4:00. So, and they're going to, and it sounds like the plan was after camp was over, then he was going to do it. But then they had a lightning delay because, being in Florida and y'all, and that's just what we do down here. But as soon as they had the lightning delay, they went inside and immediately, hey, here's the live stream, here's the Instagram feed. Lewis Carter's going to commit. And everyone knew where he's going. Because at this point, 99% of the recruits, everyone kind of knows where they're going to commit before they commit. It's just the way the business is at this point. And he didn't have a hat; he had like a long sleeve shirt, which is cool too. As long as it got an OU logo on it, I'm happy. But just jumping around like so many guys, like Caden Green is a huge commit because like we've been really if there's one area in the offensive line recruiting that we need to get better on, it's offensive tackle recruiting because. We've gotten transfers and guys like Wanya Morris and whatnot, but tackles have gotten a little better. We've gotten some in-state kids recently over the past year, but Caden Green's a huge kid. He can, and also I think he can take a major jump in the rankings. Says 24/7's having a big rankings update tomorrow, so there's going to be new 5 stars announced. Jackson Arnold probably will get his from 24/7 individually. He's a composite 5-star. He's a 4-star across the board everywhere, like really super high. So the composite looks at that and says, oh, you're basically a 5-star because everyone has you ranked like just at the edge of 5-star status everywhere. That's just how the rankings work. But 24/7 should give him his 5th star tomorrow. There's a possibility PJ Adewari will get his 5th star. It's possible. He'll be super, super close. I think Phil Pichotti will get his 4-star more than likely. He's already a 4-star on Rivals.
Composite, yeah. Again, they went from OU went from like in the 40s. They're number 10 right now. So, and their composite ranking, they're like 3 points behind Miami, 4 or 5 points behind LSU. They're like 9-10 points behind Tennessee. Same thing for Georgia. So, but we're dead in the water, though.
No, we are. Forget everything I'm saying. We're dead in the water. Our program's trash. It's a trash fire. We're done. But
absolutely.
At least on paper, we have a chance to. The way the end of July could finish, and the way the end of August could finish. Oklahoma will be right in the middle of the top 10, anywhere from like the 5 to 7 range, in my opinion. And then after that, they're going to try to finish strong with guys like David Hicks, who, look, it's July. David Hicks is like one of the top 10 players in the country. He's like number 5 overall right now. Legit 5-star. All the reports on him, it's always down between it's OU and A&M, or it's OU and Texas, or it's OU and Oregon. Whenever you hear stuff like that, the constant school is always a good sign, and that one's Oklahoma. And he has a good relationship with Todd Bates. So, again, it's July. This is a kid who's going to decide at one of the All-Star games. He's not going to sign early, I don't think. Now, he could sign early, and, it could be secret. I'll sign early. Don't announce it. I want to announce at the Under Armour game or the All-American game, whichever one. And that's going to be cool for recruiting because – it's awesome when you have a guy at one of those games that picks your school and it's like, hey, one of the top players in the country picks you. Like, because we all love, like, on YouTube, you see Peterson pick OU, DeMarco Murray pick OU. Those are really cool moments.
Yeah.
And you want to have more of those. So, but I think the one thing for people, and I got into like a little debate with some Discord people because they're like, what are you talking about? No, I was like, people in general. Brent Venables has the philosophy of if you're going to commit to Oklahoma, you commit and you shut everything down. A handful of schools do that. Like Alabama and Clemson have that philosophy. That's the way they do things. It's like
that's how they keep the door closed.
Yes, if you're going to commit to us, you're done. If you want to look elsewhere, you have to verbally decommit and then go look elsewhere. If you want to come back, we'll leave a spot for you, maybe. So, but those programs have had that luxury. As the years gone on, it's gotten easier and easier to do that because guess what? All we do is win. And so when you tell kids, listen, If you want to look around, that's fine, but you can't commit to us. For Brent to bring that to OU, it was like, well, we're not quite at that spot yet, at that level with Bam and Clemson right now. And everyone's like worried because we had Ashton Kozart, wide receiver. He was committed to us, right?
Yeah.
And then he was like, I kind of want to take a visit to Oregon. Well, if you want to take a visit to Oregon, you got to decommit. Truth is, he wanted to commit to Oregon. So he went, took a trip to Oregon, loved it, committed to Oregon. That's fine. And that began the Twitter meme or the OU recruiting meme, like wide receiver recruiting is trending down.
Yeah.
And I love bringing that up. And it's just like, everyone's like, shut up. but then you get a guy like Jaquez Petaway, who's just like a monster speed wise. He's a speed demon. And you got Keon Brown, who's a solid pickup. The guy I'm looking forward to potentially at the end of the month. I think it's the end of the month. No, excuse me. It's the end of August. He's going to commit. Anthony Evans.
Yeah.
August 26th, the big day. You get Anthony Evans. That's another guy with speed. So, SEC speed, you're going to get SEC speed. He's not going to be a big giant body like the Gibson kid.
Mm-hmm.
Who made the big play at the end of the spring game this year. But, if you're going to spread out like this Jeff Lebby offense, you're going to have all these, you want guys who can make plays in space. So those are guys I'm really, really excited about.
Is Anthony Evans, do you think, looking at his list, is competing against Georgia and A&M? Do you think he's going to roll with OU for that?
I mean, as if the way things are right now, I love OU's chances.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Makari Vickers is another guy. He's an elite defensive back. I believe he's also the 26.
Yeah.
That's kind of up. It's hard to tell. I'm leaning OU at the moment. It all kind of depends what Bama does. We're still kind of in that boat with certain defensive backs. Like Bama's been getting commits from certain guys, and some guys are takes and some guys are not. And so I'm not saying this guy's a Bama leftover, but Bama leftovers are really high 4 stars. And you don't turn them down. So Makari Vickers is one of those guys you would want. The next one we potentially might get, I don't think OU's in a good spot, is Peyton Kirkland, the offensive tackle right here in Orlando, Dr. Phillips High School.
Yeah, you mentioned him. Where
I dropped a bunch of bags with a bunch of IOU money notes, and I guess those don't count. I left a note saying
Monopoly money.
Yeah, I left a note saying he could take a Universal Orlando with him. I guess that doesn't hold water, but I'm not liking OU's chances. He's going to commit on the 23rd. So unless something drastic happens in the next week, he's going to pick either Florida or Miami or something like that. So,
yeah.
But the big one I'm really looking forward to at the end of the month is Derek LeBlanc. He's a kid out of here in Kissimmee, big time defensive line. He has a sneaky chance to take a big jump tomorrow in the 24/7 rankings. He could potentially be very close to 5-star status.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of crystal balls, future casts, on 3 consensus or whatever are leaning towards OU on that one. If we get him along with PJ and some other guys we've gotten, this has a very good chance to be, on paper, the best D-line class OU has had in the modern recruiting era as a whole.
Yeah,
because we've had individual guys that have been great, like Tommy Harris and Gerald McCoy and guys like that. But as a consensus whole, rankings wise,
they'll be the O line is.
Maybe
I guess where I look at it,
I know where you're going, but I don't think we've had our O line class this past year was pretty solid.
Yeah,
but this D line class, I think PJ, if everything, first of all, he's got to sign in December. We got to get to December. Please, get to December. If he signs and he lives up to his potential, we're talking top 10 NFL first round pick potentially.
Absolutely.
And just watching him a little bit at the Under Armour camp this past weekend, he went up against a pretty solid 4-star guy, offensive tackle in 101 drills, and he just kind of dipped underneath him, and the guy didn't even touch him. And he said, based on that rep, he's like, I actually stumbled and tripped a little bit, but he still recovered and kind of looked like he would have made the play. He's so tall and long. He's got like a 7-foot span, and he just kind of dipped under like the 6'3", 4" offensive tackle. It was nuts.
So he just basically he made the football move.
Yeah, he went toe to toe with like a 5-star Miami commit at left tackle, who's going to be really good. They kind of had they showed the rep online. It was kind of a stalemate. Mm-hmm. Like he didn't really pancake him or touch him, but he kind of like forced him down. Like depending on what ref is calling that day, it could be a holding or a block or something along those lines. But kind of a stalemate there. So. Again, PJ's got a chance to get his 5th star tomorrow as well. Jackson Arnold had he was there also. He kind of had a okay day yesterday. Texas fans were quick to point out who were very upset about the Arching On hashtag that's been going around. I don't know who started that, but it's just a bunch of crazy people.
I was gonna say who started that, Sean?
Well, I didn't start it. I'm just a believer in Arching On. Taking down just exposing the truth of Arch Manning and his how overrated he is. But finishing up with Jackson Arnold, he's going to get a big bump tomorrow. He won the Elite 11 MVP. You're not going to take that away from him. Mm-hmm. He had an okay day on Saturday. It was like, I wasn't able to watch everything, but he had 12 reps. It's not a great stat line. Don't look pretty. So it is what it is. Like if you put Dante Moore, Malachi Nelson, or someone like that high above him, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I do think someone's going to give him his 5th star at some point, like individually.
Yeah.
If it's not tomorrow, I think Rivals will. I don't have a feeling for On 3 yet and how they do things. They're still kind of a new entity, so you're still kind of feeling out you still need a couple of years to get a feel for how they grade guys.
And that was something I was going to bring up to you. Like there's 247 with it, but On 3 is kind of new. Like they kind of came out of nowhere, in my opinion, for it. How reputable are they? Do we take them seriously?
Well, they're they're reputable. Well, they're big enough where they're part of the composite rankings now. It used to be as 24/7. Rivals and ESPN and Scout. Scout ceased to exist. And ESPN, there's like 2 people who work there who cover recruiting, so you can take their rankings for what it's worth. Like, listen, to be fully upfront and honest, I'm not the biggest fan of composite rankings in anything, but this is what people go off of. So I used to be against this. So it's gotten to the point where it's like the path of least resistance. If I'm going to talk about recruiting nowadays, I'm going to go by the composite ranking because it's so much easier. And like, I don't have to argue people in comments on Rivals. He's a 5th star, a 4-star, 3. I'm just going to go by, everyone goes by 24/7 composite nowadays. It's just so much easier and it's less of a headache. So, and plus they have the fun class calculator. Everyone loves like class calculators because you can add names to your class and see what the score is. And it drives you insane because if you put all the big name targets they'll use going after that they have a good shot at, they'll have like a 299 or 300 score class. They'll be at this point they would be number 1, but like everyone else is going to add people too. So it's like
right.
You could drive yourself insane playing with that class calculator. If we get this guy and this guy and this guy, it's going to be the best class ever. Those type of things. So
right, it's like building your class on NCAA. It's fun.
Yeah.
But now let's get realistic if they're actually going to do that.
I don't know what's more like. I finally started playing like just regular individual games lately, not like Dynasty. I just want to play with like because the rosters are kind of updated.
Yeah,
it is what it is, but. I've been playing Texas A&M, Georgia, Alabama.
Yeah. So my next question was for you. In addition to the actual what the D line, this could be one of the best ones. Wouldn't be one of OU's best recruiting classes, period, if it does pan out.
Yeah.
Are we realistically looking at a top 5 class?
Yes, we are. Yeah, we are. In the modern era, like internet, when like 2002 was kind of like when Rivals had, that's as far back as they're like, so 20 years. In a 20-year, like since we've been doing online databases and stuff like that, look, I'm sure if someone wanted to dig deep into the parade All-Americans and go look at things in the past and try to come up with some sort of formula, there's plenty of stat nerds who would love to do this, to try to figure out what you would have rated OU's classes in the 70s that Barry had. Like I would love to see someone rank what that 1975 class was or something, like, you know what I mean? Like, because that's the one that had Billy Sims and a bunch of guys, and just like a ton of guys that led OU to the latter half of the 70s that were really dominant. But yeah, for the last 20 years or so, this has a chance to be, numbers wise on paper, from top to bottom, like the best, deepest class OU's ever had. Like for me, like I think of like the last time they had a super really high class was like 2010. Yeah, that was like a year where you had like Kenny Stills and Tony Jefferson and guys like that who really panned out.
Wasn't that the class too, with like RJ Washington?
I think so.
Kenny Stills and all that too. Like, yeah, they didn't pan out, but at the time, like that was a big get.
Like, I think to me, like the best class, like top to bottom, I could think of just off the top of my head. I go back like to the 06 class. Bradford, DeMarco Murray, I think Gerald McCoy.
I mean, Bomar was on there, and he was a very highly recruited. Like, he's top 10 in OU stuff, no matter what happened.
I mean, Bradford wasn't highly rated, but he was in the class, so.
Right.
But yeah, Bomar was 05, actually.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Or was it? No, I think he was 04. No, Bomar was 04 or 05. Like, no, he was 04 because I think he was because he and Peterson were like the big 04. Combo.
Yeah, he's 04.
Yeah, Bomar was because he redshirted because Jason White was obviously 6-year senior quarterback.
Yeah, but
nowadays that doesn't seem so odd with COVID.
Right. I mean, retroactively though, they have him as a 5-star. Like, he's one of our still top 10 highest rated recruits.
No, Peterson's like one of the greatest like high school football players.
Ever. Oh, I'm talking Bomar. Yeah.
Yeah. Bomar was like a 5-star, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like him and Brom, who went to Louisville. Brian Brom, I think. Those were like the two quarterbacks that were like the top of the country. Like, this is like, we vaguely remember way back when. Yeah. He was okay at Louisville. But yeah, just I mean, we're talking about like recruiting rankings and whatnot. And listen, like there's some people with a perfect score across the board, and they're just the next quarterback messiah, and there's nothing you can do about it. They're coming. They're coming, Josh. Like the quarterback messiah is coming next year. So he'll have to redshirt, of course, but the quarterback messiah is coming.
I mean, he is going to be the savior of Texas football. I mean, we just all need to throw in the towel right now.
He's.
Fun fact, I actually have that as a topic for us to talk about as well. But I actually
surely no.
I know, but I actually have a trivia question for you. Out of OU's recruiting, all-time recruits, who's the highest recruit out of Oklahoma? Do you know that one?
In the state of Oklahoma?
In the state of Oklahoma, they had
the highest rated guy ever?
Yes. And no one in the chat tell him, do not spoil it.
I don't know. They probably didn't end up going to OU.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Oh, he did? Oh.
Yeah, it's someone you should be familiar with.
I mean, McCoy, maybe, I think. Gerald McCoy?
Yeah, he's the highest OU rated.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yep. I thought it was going to be someone like one of the safeties that left us or whatever.
No. It was Gerald McCoy. Yeah, because the next one up, I think, is Tommy Harris.
Okay. Well,
not Tommy Harris.
Well, Tommy was a Texas.
He was Texas. It was Texas. What's his face? I think it was Jamar Brown.
Jamal Brown.
I think so, but I need to go down the list. But yeah, Joe McCoy is the highest one out of OKC.
Like Jamal Brown was originally a D tackle, but they flipped him to the offensive line, and guess what? He became a first rounder, or he became like a multi-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah,
but now, if you want to get excited about in-state, well, kind of in-state, David Stone, who was a in-state for Oklahoma, has gone to IMG. Mm-hmm. They need to get him.
Do you think are you saying for in-state to keep the in-state guys in for that, or just in general?
Well, no, in general, like he is in-state, and that you have that. You think it's an advantage, but like that's another thing. People were ripping OU for not doing well in-state for this class, which is like okay.
Oklahoma doesn't. Yes, you want to get those 5 stars when they're
going to get Jacoby. They're going to get Jacoby more than likely, but I mean, it's like, oh, you missed out on By Job. I mean, By Job he got a nice little recruiting bump, but By Job is kind of a project. And listen, if anyone can make him work, it's Mel Tucker at Michigan State.
Yeah.
But he is kind of a project. And we'll see. Like they like if OU wanted him, OU would have gotten him, in my opinion.
It reminds me of that,
but they got PJ at the end of the day, so it's like, okay, we got PJ. I'm happy.
Right, and it reminds me of it a couple years ago where OU got ripped because we missed out on a 5-star guy, but we already had guys loaded. We couldn't take him. His name escapes me, but it was like Gundy then got ripped because he didn't recruit him, and I think he went out of state at that point. They're like, OU.
But no, most of the guys like OU quote unquote missed out on, like they got equal or better players somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it's like there was the wide receiver everyone was losing their mind over. I forget his name. Like
the Oregon guy.
No, I think he went to Bama.
Yeah. Right.
But then we got Petaway. So it's like, okay, we got Petaway, and we're probably gonna get Anthony Evans too. So it's like, I don't care where they come from. Would you? Yeah, in theory, would you like to lock down the state and like get everybody? But number one, Oklahoma normally is not like this big state where you get everybody, and it's not like we're Nebraska football where, oh my God, we have to get everyone who's worth a damn in state because our radius is terrible. No, like we recruit Texas all the time. We're making a lot of like headway again in like Missouri and St. Louis and whatnot. Florida, it's still an option. So, and Brent can still recruit the Carolinas because he has cachet over there. So all the idiots who say, "Oh, you're not getting the in-state commits," motherfucker, like Brent Venables and his staff, we got Southern roots as well. Right. So I don't want to hear this crap that it's like, shut up. I don't care if they live on the moon. If they want to come to OU, we can get them to come. Great. So
how many more spots do we have left for this recruiting class like that are open before?
I mean, it depends.
I know that varies, but
I mean, I was talking about this with some guys the other night. It's like, so what do you think we're taking? It's like with the way recruiting rules and scholarships are kind of like in flux right now, we could take, like, Brent wants to get as many high school kids as possible. This past year he had to go portal heavy for obvious reasons. Right. But I think we're going to get anywhere from like 26, 27 to 30, and a couple of those guys might be portal kids. I think there's like, obviously, I'm sure there's a list of names out there that if they want a portal here that you don't say no to as long as they check the boxes of like, why are you coming here? Were you a piece of shit at your previous school? Were you a problem child? As long as you check the boxes of not being a problem, then yeah, come on in. Because you hear rumors about NIL situations at certain places where kids are allegedly not getting their money, like Jordan Addison at USC or whatnot.
Ooh, yeah, I want to bring that up too. What is going on with that?
And it's, well, I don't know. Like, I take it as conjecture and rumor at this point, so it's not going to affect OU as far as I'm concerned. But I mean, if you have problems like that at A&M, and there's some guys that you missed out on, if for some reason Gabe Dindy realizes he's not he's actually supposed to be a 3 tech or whatever, or not a 5 tech or a 4 or whatever, or whatever. Just like, come on back down. You're committed here beforehand. Come on back up. So, but yeah, right now it's just, by the time we get to the season, OU has a good chance to be at worst be another top 10 recruiting class. Yeah, there's some there's like highly touted guys. They're going to wait till signing day, or they're going to wait till February, and that's fine. I haven't even thought
it's getting used to a different recruiting mentality with Venables just in general for it. Because as you said earlier, like, people want it now. I'd rather be patient, get the best guys versus everything now.
Well, no, there are people who are going nuts earlier the year, like message boards or Twitter, because you see Notre Dame and you see Texas, and you see all these other schools getting these big commits, because the big off-season recruiting periods are like your spring game, July, which we're in right now, like June, July. And during the season, of course, guys are going to take official visits to games. I don't know, like, what you would consider our big home game this year. I'm going to guess it's Baylor or Oklahoma State. And
the only reason, by the way, I say it's Oklahoma State is because if it turns out we're not going to play them for a good while, it's going to be Bedlam. And the revenge factor from last year, it's got to be Bedlam.
That's going to be a huge game.
Dad has already put his name on, be like, sorry, Josh, you're not getting the Bedlam ticket. Okay. He's like, I'm growing unless I can't.
Well, we're starting to get to where people are wanting to make their preseason predictions, and like I would get a couple of people's like, "Are you make your preseason predictions, dude? It's April."
Yeah, like
this is it's like, dude, that's August content.
yeah, like that's what's your old saying? We don't crown champions in July. Like this is we're still way too far out for that.
Yeah, and like I'm not doing that here. It's just like I'm celebrating the progress that's being made. Like the trust me, we're not done yet. That's the exciting part.
And we got to get to August 4th at least, guys.
Well, no, not even August 4th, like the end of August, like because we have two potential guys who could commit at the end of August, like I mentioned, and Vickers and Anthony Evans. So,
I mean, just for preseason polls, like we gotta get workouts first.
Those polls don't mean crap.
No, they don't.
No, because like the coaches poll used to mean something 10 years ago when the BCS was still a thing, and that, like, as opposed to the AP poll, the coaches poll actually had cachet 10 years ago. That used to be a video I would make annually. The coaches poll is out because it's 1/3 of the BCS. That's how long I've been doing this. Good Lord. And now it's like I don't do that shit anymore.
Well, here's my question as well with it. Looking at the rankings, looking at how many spots we have left, is there anybody else that you think is a surprise that you've heard rumors about, or this player may be taking a visit as a secret or something? Like,
yeah,
is there
actually,
anybody like that?
Yeah, actually, safety first. Peyton Bowen, top 100 player in the country, safety, committed to Notre Dame, has taken multiple visits to Oklahoma, and he's committed to Notre Dame. The word I'm hearing around the campfire is that he wants to go OU.
His parents.
Mom wants him to go to Notre Dame.
That's a tough.
But another thing I'm hearing lately is that mom is slowly warming up to the idea of going to OU. So that's a guy that's
going to be the final word on that.
Sure. But Peyton Bowen has been on flip watch for a while.
Yeah.
I think his girlfriend is going to OU. I'm not sure. I think.
Oh yeah.
I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong on that. But the Yates kid, who's a 3-star safety committed to LSU, is also on flip watch for OU. So those two guys, and Yates will probably go as 4-star at some point as well. So this is a position where getting highly ranked prospects has been a problem. And so Brandon Hall, work your magic. That's all I have to say.
Following up with that as well, with it from what you said about everyone talking about Texas getting it, A&M getting it. Is it also because honestly with Texas, Miami stuff, they have more upfront money? Like you should come here with it. Well, like look, it's kind of the open secret.
Okay, well here's the thing. Every time I upload a commitment video, there's always like someone's going to bring up NIL as the big boogeyman because they hate the sport now because of NIL, and they're going to let you know about it every time you talk about recruiting. Yeah. And it's like, if there's one thing I've learned this month, OU's going to be fine.
I'll hold my thought.
Because OU's going to be fine. Because, look, we went through the Jacob Phillips drama when it was like NIL was under the table still. We lost him to LSU. Correct. It was a bag was dropped and he flipped to LSU. And listen, we've done that to other people in the past as well. So let's not pretend we're innocent. But at the same time, it's like first of all, we got our collective. That's still, as far as I'm concerned, that's still going to work out. I haven't heard anything otherwise. So just OU's going to be fine because we're still at the point where kids, they love Brent, they love the coaching staff, they love the culture he's building, and you can still build really elite classes year in and year out and stack those together, and you could be a dominant program as long as he's here, as long as he's keeps the staff together. Now, he's not going to keep them all together forever because there's a couple guys who are going to get jobs elsewhere. Jeff Lebby, to me, is a 2 to 3 year guy. I expect Jeff Lebby to be gone within 2 to 3 years and be a head coach somewhere. Todd Bates, I expect to, when Ted Roof kind of like maybe I'm going to retire. I'm going to do this. Todd Bates slips into the full DC role type of deal, something like that. He's like DC/D tackles coach, Chavis, stuff like that. So there's people in place. You have a bunch of analysts on staff who, I don't know, there's a lot of former players for OU right now. There's like a Rufus Alexander. I'm not saying he's going to be the next DeMarco Murray when it comes to recruiting, but it helps when you have a bunch of former players as analysts on your coaching staff that can, hey, Rufus, maybe you can slide in. You could talk about what it's like to play under Brent or whatnot. But DeMarco also has the cachet of being a Dallas Cowboy, which really helps when you get into the living room.
And it's what you've told me before. Now, I've had to wrap my idea. He's a face that kids growing up recognize. DeMarco.
He's a very, very sexy man. So married mamas, watch out. Spray tan coming.
But it's serious, though. Like, we're getting further. And
apologies to Brent and Clay.
That's big. That's big. Did you see during the I was just thinking about it now. Did you see the players talking smack about each other during the media days? It's like, what's his face? He's not the best basketball player on the team.
Yeah, Martin. Yeah. You know what's funny is that
like that.
You know what's funny is like Big 12 media days was not like that big a thing for me. I mean, I paid attention to it a little bit, but like, what were the notable things that came out of media days? It was.
Oh, okay. I know we're
Gundy talked about Bedlam or whatever, but the main thing was, the new Big 12 commissioner who doesn't have hurt feelings is willing to potentially let OU Texas go and make a deal. So I think they're going to sit down and come down to details and whatnot. But I don't think we're leaving in 25. I think it's going to be sooner than that at this point. So the door is open.
Really fast on the recruiting stuff. And be honest, with how it is right now, do you feel much better than when we were, even before Bedlam, before we knew about the Riley stuff? Do you feel better now with our recruits than versus what we had before?
I mean, look, you could rip Alex Grinch for a lot of things, for his decisions and rotating players or his scheme and whatnot. I will never rip Alex Grinch for being a recruiter. He was an elite recruiter. His staff, there's a lot of elite recruiters. Jamar Cain was an elite recruiter. We were in position to get like guys like Marvin Jones Jr., who was a 5-star, and he ended up going to Bama. What a shock. We had Gabe Dindy signed, ready to go. So we had multiple 5-stars on defense. The recruiting was getting better. Having said that, just you feel better once because you realize now how unstable things really were behind the scenes. You have that calm sense of things are going to be okay. Because, like, again, I kind of alluded to this earlier, but Brent has got you into the top 10 in the middle of July, his first year, because, give him all the credit in the world for holding together the 22 class and losing a kid to Texas and then flipping it back with one visit. That was pretty awesome. And you maintained a top. You only lost a couple guys. The 23 class outside of one guy was decimated. It was gone. Brent had to start from scratch in December. When you work on the upcoming recruiting class is usually being worked on 2, sometimes 3 years prior. So in order to get to this point where you're in the top 10 now, and you still have 6 months to go, and you have elite prospects on your board that you can get that are probably going to get a good ratings boost by the time it's all said and done. You're to potentially be a fringe top 5 class. When it comes to recruiting, Brent's always been good. He's taken it to the next level. So from a recruiting standpoint, if you're an OU fan, you can not only are we going to be fine, like that Turnip Seed said that he was going to be the next Nick Saban. We're not there yet. We're not there at the tippy top yet, but I'll tell you what, man.
At some point, it has to happen.
What he needs a couple of years of his team on film that he can start, because he's doing this without having a season to talk about. Like, here's what we did against Texas last year. We used, this is what Danny Stutzman did here, blah, blah, blah. We could use you here. It's this is what Jalen Redmond did. Like, he doesn't have that to work with. He can point to Todd Bates can point to stuff they did at Clemson, but he doesn't have anything with, here's me on the OU sideline coaching OU recently. I guess he could break out old 20-year-old footage when he was working under Bob, but that only works to an extent.
Correct, because it's so far removed at that point. You need the here and now. 10 years is kind of the extent. We're well removed from that.
I mean, Rufus Alexander kid, here's how they use me, against Texas in 2004. I mean, we play different football nowadays. It's changed, it's evolved, but yeah, I'm excited about recruiting from now and next year, because I think next year we can get a couple of top 10 players on the current top 10 list right now. I think we could get the number one corner in the country next year if things go well. Jay Valai, man, is a hell of a recruiter. I think he can go get him. Him and David Stone potentially could both be top 10 players by what's all said and done. So it's recruiting is very exciting. Now he needs to put together a good season. If they could put together a Big 12 championship season, that is the tippy top I ask for. I'm not asking Brent Venables for anything else at the most.
Yeah.
The very max I'm asking for, can you get us to Arlington and can you get us a W? After that, it doesn't matter, because whether you win or lose your New Year's Six game seems irrelevant nowadays unless you're in the playoff.
Which, I mean, I will still beat my drum to the end of the day. I'm very grateful when I went to OU versus Bama, because that seemed like truly the last
that was year. But that was 9-10 years ago. That was a different
era.
Era.
Oh, I know. I was thinking about that.
That people, despite what people tried to say after the fact, those players cared. They played.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper was a little dinged up, but he played. He cared. And trust me, he played like he cared.
Yeah. Well, and I mean that I'm glad I went when those games mattered in the end. And
because they don't anymore.
Correct. Unless it's a playoff game, they don't. So, but no, I was curious on that, because it was are we better off now than we were in December versus, could you say we would want some guys, some offense? Sure. But we have a 5-star quarterback committed. That's the norm here. Yeah, but I feel better with this staff than I did with Riley's. What's his face? I never had true problems with Grinch. I think he was asking a lot of players, and I think the schemes were fine. But what's his face? There was a couple guys on there. I'm just I don't know if they're pulling their weight, and I don't.
Well, you gotta remember, Brent. The one thing, Brent's scheme is complicated, and he asks a lot of his players. There's a lot to remember. There's a lot to memorize. So it could take a year or two for some guys to get acclimated. So we're going back to Brent. As long as Brent has the talent to work with it, it's going to work. But Brent's scheme is it's the same. It could take some guys a little bit, but
yeah,
those guys tend to do well on the next level because they're educated and they know how to handle multiple defenses. So
exactly. You mentioned though also as well, speaking of Brent, and we talked about, but we bounced back for a sec. I agree with you. Big 12 media days, outside of, in my opinion, Arnonda saying, that timeout shouldn't have happened. Brent, Mike Gundy showing himself that he's an ass again, and then Brent's comment about the hose stuff. It was boring. There wasn't anything, because they said we're not
blowing and going. Yeah, put the hose fully in his mouth, blowing and going. I want a T-shirt now. People are ha ha, that's gay. I don't care. Give me a T-shirt. I'll wear it.
You'd absolutely wear it with your championship rings.
I will totally wear if you make a cartoon of Brent with a hose in his mouth saying blowing and going, I'll wear that shirt. I don't give a damn.
Exactly. But it's just, there was nothing else. They didn't talk about the SEC stuff. They didn't talk about the Big 12 media stuff. It was just kind of boring. Was there anything I was missing?
Well, no, everyone's trying to figure out if this conference is going to exist in the same format or not. And so, when's that going to, because there's that aura of change happening, because we're going to know the future of the Pac-12 and the Big 12 fairly soonish in the next couple of weeks, because Pac-12 is right now in the middle of their 30-day exclusive negotiation with Fox and ESPN, and Fox right now is not interested in bidding on the Pac-12.
They're not, because they don't know what's going to happen.
But let me finish it. ESPN is, The problem is you're not going to get a very good price for your TV deal if only one network is bidding on you. They're going to lowball you. So they're trying to figure out right now what's best for everybody. Pac-12, Big 12, ESPN. So whether it's just to merge a partnership, destroy one league, just like whether it's the Pac-12 or the Big 12, no one's safe. No, like here, like there are some schools who are going to get like Southwest Conferenced.
Yeah,
it's going to happen. Like I think.
What?
I
think honestly, Sean,
I know. Is Abbott Abbott a Baylor grad? I don't know.
I think he's an
A&M. Wouldn't surprise me considering, but
I've been saying that where I think there's going to be teams that are left out, and it's going to be whatever. I think there's realistically only 2 spots open. One in the Big Ten and one in the SEC for winning.
So you gotta keep in mind that
there's no hard number, but what does the brand
listen? Like you're hearing reports right now that the SEC is cool with 16 teams. That all changes if the Big Ten makes a move. All of a sudden, we're interested in we'll add 4 more now.
Right, and it would be Miami, Florida State, and Clemson, and that leaves 1 left.
Well, you gotta keep in mind that the Big Ten is also potentially. Because right now they're saying they're waiting on Notre Dame, which I'm waiting on Scarlett Johansson. Basically, I'm waiting on Scarlett Johansson to answer my phone calls, my DMs. That's who I'm waiting on. That's basically what's going on. There's a chance.
Oh,
there's always a chance, but
there's always a chance.
The fact that they're like I've said before, say again, Notre Dame is not going to come to you if they don't have to. Like saying, "Hey, Notre Dame, you got to come." No, you have to literally hold a gun to their head. And until you hold a gun to their head, they're not. And even if they do, if the NBC gets in bed with the Big Ten and they try to work out what I think Notre Dame would try to do is that if NBC got Big Ten rights and they're trying to merge them, it's like, "Hey, Notre Dame, Big Ten football, and NBC, right?" They're going to try to do the exact same thing with the Big Ten that they're doing with the ACC. We'll play 6 teams in the Big Ten. We'll do that's exactly what they'll try to do.
Yeah.
But if you want them to join football wise, which they can, because football is not tied to the grant of rights like the other sports are. You have to block Notre Dame's path to a national title. You literally have to change the sport at a drastic level. Like the Big Ten and the SEC literally have to host their own playoff individually, and then the winners will face each other. That's how you get Notre Dame to join your conference.
Correct, because you can just say if you're not part of it. And I said that in last live stream. I mentioned it with Andrew. Why do we keep thinking the Big 12, the Pac-12, whatever's left of them, and the ACC are going to be automatically invited? How is this not it's a Big Ten SEC exclusive? If you're not with us, sorry guys, sucks to be you.
But Notre Dame is not going to willingly the reason Notre Dame started playing bowl games in the 70s was because the polls started naming their national champs after the bowls, because Notre Dame didn't play in bowl games for 4 years.
Right.
It's forget that you have to change the way the national championship is awarded. That's how you get them to play ball. That's all they care about. All they care about is winning the national title. Now they haven't done it since '88.
Don't forget the money.
No, the money is important too. But if you get in their way of if saying, "Sorry, Notre Dame, but you want to be independent," and that's not the rules anymore. We all decided do it. They're like a teenage girl at her sweet 16 who has to settle for a certain kind of cake or streamers or whatever the fuck. So
a certain type of car.
But no, Notre Dame brings in money. So regardless of how you and I feel about Notre Dame, they bring in the cash. They will bring in eyeballs.
Exactly. But that's what I said. Is this to me nothing?
Just join the Big Ten and play Michigan, Michigan State, and USC, and you can still play Navy if you want. Throw Navy a bone.
But it's what we've been saying about that. When Notre Dame moves, that's when the SEC will pick up 3 teams. That's when the Big Ten will as well. And I said, to me personally, it's going to be SEC. If there's one spot left, I don't see how it's not Oklahoma State. but I've been beating that
But
drum.
there isn't one spot left. That we're putting this like there's this limitation that we're putting.
I'm
on,
talking
like,
about just like evenness. If they're at 16, they're 1
no,
20.
no, I don't think so. No, because adding Oklahoma State's not going to like make up for the money. Adding OSU, no. Like you also have to keep in mind that the Big Ten is also the Big Ten is looking at Southern schools too, like in the Texas footprint, the Florida footprint, because geography doesn't matter anymore. Like USC and UCLA, the Big Ten, geography. Like we all joked about West Virginia in the Big 12. It's like, circumstance, blah blah blah. They kind of fit. They have a mascot with a gun. We have like the Roughnecks. It kind of, the gun mascot. It works kind of in a weird way. But no, like geography don't matter anymore. USC and UCLA, so don't be surprised if Florida State, Miami at some point are Big Ten invites, or TCU and Houston are big potential Big Ten invites just because of their markets, because of DFW and Houston. So you might think, what? TCU and Houston? It'll get them in Houston and Dallas. And that's all we'll care about.
I agree with you on that because Houston makes sense, obviously, for that. TCU, if you had to pick one of them over that or Baylor, you go with TCU. They're more.
Oh no, you don't go with Baylor. Baylor didn't do squat for you. Like people say, well, Baylor's good now. Yeah, but Baylor could suck tomorrow. No one's gonna miss Baylor if they suck tomorrow.
Correct. And don't get me wrong, they always bring up the thing of what about basketball? What about this? It's football, guys. That's the moneymaker. I'm sorry. That is, at the end of the day, that is it.
Well, they're gonna want to keep the NCAA tournament together as much as you can still make that work, but it's just the fact that there are certain schools that they like. If they went away tomorrow, you wouldn't like. It's like, oh, I wanted that school to get wiped off the face of the earth after a scandal like the Baylor scandal. It's like, oh, if you shut that thing down forever, I wouldn't miss them. Like, good riddance to bad rubbish. Like if Washington State disappeared, I'm sorry, I wouldn't care.
Yeah, but
I I'd watch these sob story videos about what college football means to you, and and like all these like I'm attached to all how the postseason is, or like, what are you talking about?
Well, Sean, you mentioned that, and Dad even called me on that, and he was like, Sean has a point. Like, because Dad's always been, I love the Bulls, but then when you put it in front of him, like, Dad, we don't have tradition anymore outside of Texas. Oklahoma State's a tradition to beat them, but that doesn't count.
Listen, I'll miss Bedlam. I'll tongue in cheek like poke fun of. I'll tongue in cheek poke fun of them. Says, we ain't gonna miss you. I'll miss it a little bit, but I'll get over it. Like we'll replace them with Arkansas or something. Seriously, we will. Like,
because Arkansas are the exact same, and they have a nicer stadium.
Because I see all these people like in the Pac-12 fans are, oh my god, our rivalries and stuff are going to lose. I think of John McClane from Die Hard. Welcome to the party, pal. We lost our traditions and stuff that we were used to for decades long ago. That shit was out the window a long time ago.
And that's what I told Dad, is seeing a lot of these teams still very upset. And now you're seeing it with the Pac-12. Guys, with all due respect, you've had 100 years to get your shit together and at least be something manageable.
Yeah, so and we're bringing Texas with us to be our whipping boys when we beat them up in the SEC. And we're bringing like arguably one of the great, like the top 2-3 greatest rivalries in the sport. And so they'll gladly put their logo on the field. It's gonna be weird to see that few years when you see the Red River Showdown rivalry, whatever they rename it every 5 years, whatever the logo is of the field. You see the SEC logos. They're gonna put those SEC logos on that Cotton Bowl field. It's gonna be weird, and we'd be like, ooh, like you'll see the orange one on the Texas side and the crimson one on the other side. So like, this is weird.
It will be. My dad we were talking about that, and man, I hope he gets the lottery win for that one so I can go to that one. But that being said, he's like, I remember back on it. He's like, not even relevant to SEC stuff, but he was just thinking back to old stories. He's like, I remember when the president was there. And OU said some obscene stuff at Gerald.
He went to the 76-66 tie game, right?
Yes.
It was like Gerald Ford or whatever.
Yeah, he said the things that always he remembers was, A, that game sucked. B, there was some stuff being said, and then C, he remembers the snipers on the
The
press
roof.
box. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because if someone goes after the president, you got to take him out. Those are Secret Service.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I said to him, that's who wanted to be seen, Dad. He's like, oh, exactly. He's like, there was no telling who was in the actual stands for it. But he's like, man, that's another one. I remember too. I had some friends that
Royal hated Switzer so much.
He did. And that's the funny part. Darrell Royal didn't hate OU. He did absolutely hate
Switzer. No, he hated Switzer. No, he loved Bud. Bud was his mentor, and Bud made him who he was, and everything. And so but we can go into stories, but no,
that's for August stuff I have planned. But yeah,
but we have a SEC Media Day starting tomorrow, and like on Thursday, it's the 1-year anniversary of when the news broke that we're joining the SEC. So I might try to do something silly for that. We'll see if I can come up with something.
You mentioned the SEC. Did you see the latest SEC short where it was like, Missouri, you're already in the SEC? Yeah, but
I just want to hear you say it.
That was great.
Auditioning for the SEC.
Yeah. My coworker, she was like, "Oh yeah, they are in the SEC, aren't they?" I'm like,
"See, that's why that joke works so well." It's like I just want to hear you say
it. We were just busting gut laughing. It was great. So. But nothing too exciting though. Tomorrow, media days with the SECs. Tomorrow is Big Ten this week as well.
No, I think the Big Ten and like the Pac-12 are like at the end of the month. So all the like the reason they're trying not to. They don't want to overlap each other because so they want to have all the eyeballs on them as possible. Of course, the Big Ten one's the only one people are going to care about outside of the SEC. Yeah. I mean, the Big 12 one was okay. It was just. There was nothing groundbreaking there, so it's like yeah. I mean, it was like again, it's just you want to hear someone asked a question and Brent talked for 10 minutes, and
I disappointed me so much. I was expecting like 2 hours worth of content.
Well, no, I made the joke. I hope you blocked out 2.5 hours for Brent just by himself up on that podium because he's going to need it. He has a lot to say, and so, but yeah, just I don't know. Tomorrow's like. The big one's Tuesday because that's when Bama's like first up. That's when Saban's there. They don't have Saban and Jimbo on the same day. Cowards. Actually, A&M is the last school on Thursday. They are the very last school to show up. So it'll be they have Nick and Jimbo separated pretty decently. So.
I mean, to be fair, and I didn't realize that Jimbo hates Saban. Like, he genuinely does not like Nick Saban.
Of course, based on what happened a couple months ago.
Yeah. Like, it's funny, and especially when he was there, like, just in general with it just cracks me up. Like, oh, I didn't really understand.
I mean, he hated him before, but he really hates him now. So, but yeah, we got camp is going to start on the 4th for OU. Fall camp starts, so that's creeping up.
That's crazy. That's 2 weeks from now.
I know. Yeah, fall camp is
3 weeks. Yeah.
Fall camp's creeping up, and that's when you see all the Twitter videos and everyone just like because they're going to have the daily hype videos for fall camp, and they'll have like. Coaches in the meeting rooms, and it'll cut to like on the practice field, guys sweating with the bottle water, doing the reps with the sleds and everything. It's just it's gonna have like the rap music behind it or whatever. Then it's got the logo. You know exactly what they're gonna look like and sound like, but you still get excited when you see them
because we're almost there. My old Sooner Vision side's coming out where I'm like, oh yeah, around this time is when they were finalizing the intro video and starting to film of the rest of that at this point.
I mean, yeah, they had like picture day a couple weeks ago and stuff. They were doing a bunch of that stuff where they're doing the poses and whatnot. So everyone's, but what's also kind of amazing. You know why? You know what's kind of awesome about Brent? I mean, now listen, we still got a little more time. We've had a very quiet off season.
Knocking on wood.
Yeah, exactly. No, but like,
is that confidence from the players that they actually do believe in it, or is that more
now we haven't
them in check?
Now we haven't had any like extra. We haven't had any like obvious like you need to leave. You're not going to make it here type of guys. You're not doing what you're supposed to do, or we're not seeing. Now there might be a couple of those yet to come. Like. The guy I'm amazed is still here is Bray Walker. He's still here. Like, he kind of like never lived up to the hype, and he kind of at this point he kind of never will. I think Bray Walker with like a year with Schmitty and with like Brent as the coach could, and look, I think he could be like. I have to be careful how I phrase this. He could have a Gabe Lynn type of senior season, but on the offensive line as opposed to safety or defensive back. Because remember, Gabe Lynn was just Gabe Lynn sucks. Just to be honest, like Gabe Lynn sucked.
No, dude, him and Tom Moore
but then the Gabe Lynn senior year, he was awesome, and he made like the first interception in that Sugar Bowl against. And I was like, Gabe Lynn is good. What? Gabe Lynn making plays. Gabe Lynn doing things. I was like, okay. He wasn't like elite. He was an elite player or anything, but Gabe made plays. So I don't know.
They need to release that. Like with the Sugar Bowl, they released that basically. Play your minds out. Bob didn't hold anything back on that one, but you're right. Gabe and Tom Ward were always the jokes. Like, oh, here comes Tom Ward. He's gonna suck. And
yeah, Tom Ward left though.
Correct. But then Gabe Lynn, that was always a joke. But then stuff changed with it, and he stepped up.
God, who was the kid that we had a really good defensive tackle that had a lot of promise, but it had to retire because of concussions? He was like yeah. He was like a white defensive tackle who was making plays as he was like Noble, I think. Was his name Noble or something like that?
Oh, you would ask me that. What year?
It was like early last decade, but he was like a kid who was like, damn, this guy's finally he was kind of he looked like an impact player in interior, but then he got concussions and he just couldn't play anymore. I was like, damn it.
Yeah, but I know who you're talking about too, because I remember that, because it was like, where did he go? And it was like, oh yeah, he had concussion.
Hey Weston, Gabe Lynn was hitting people too. Gabe Lynn started hitting people. Like, I'm not just talking about that one play. He murdered some people it was still legal. So
yeah.
Listen, you knew we were going to beat Bama when Gabe Lynn was making plays, okay? That's all I'm saying.
I mean, Sunshine Pump.
Gabe Lynn made plays. Brennan Clay was like a great running back for a night.
So funny enough, that was, and I don't think I even ever told you, to me, that was always had confidence, and we had
Brennan Clay with a makeshift offensive line was finding holes and getting big runs at times.
Yeah. Goodness. By the way, the chat brought up, and I'm thinking about what games and stuff I was going to go to. Dad gave me a call because I was really thinking about doing Nebraska this year. But he's like, so we can order tickets, but it's $200 a ticket. I'm like, oh, can't, Dad. Nope. Not with these gas prices. Heck no. I told my other friends, were like, no, sorry, we can't. I don't blame them. Like, that's a lot to ask.
I mean, in a perfect world, I'd go just to say I could go. But
yeah,
I don't know. When the world of college football, like, you know, when we have like that Pangea effect where the continents finally split and reorganize, like maybe we'll have OU Nebraska again one day on the reg. Who knows? Maybe
we're getting them again, like at the end of the decade, I think.
Yeah, that's true. We'll see where things are.
I think right now,
if a meteor doesn't hit this planet or something, kill us all.
That's fair. Or a satellite, you know, or the alien.
We can survive a satellite. It's asteroids or meteors I worry about.
Yeah.
You're just kind of fucked at that point. It's like, oh, nothing you can do.
Well, just wave at it and just, you know, think happy thoughts. You brought up media days. Now I do want to bring this up. This was about a couple days earlier from it. I know we're a little distance from it, but OU got snubbed at like the Big 12 preseason stuff with it. Like, I'm just.
Oh no, I'm totally fine with it. I know what you're going, but no,
I'm losing my mind. Like, how do you not have players on there?
Well, number one, like they picked Baylor in the conference and OU number 2. I'm fine with that. If you want to slide in last year's champ, I'm cool with that. That's fine.
Yeah.
That don't bother me. Now they didn't have anyone on the first team. They had Turk at punter, which is cute. I mean, Turk's great. I mean, I'm not saying he's not.
I mean, he's obviously the best player on the team.
I'm not going to argue wide receiver because the wide receiver, like, listen, like Marvin Mims, like you could argue, but the receivers they have on that first team are really good. So it's hard to argue with that. Like, look at the names at wide receiver for the first team. Like I'm not Xavier Worthy, Hutchinson, and what's his face at TCU. Okay, I'm not going to complain. So
what about running back?
No, that's fine.
I'm okay with running back.
No, like there's like Kenny Brooks gone. So who would you, honestly, from last year's team, who would you put at running back? Eric Gray?
Exactly.
You wouldn't put Eric Gray or anyone like. I mean, Javonte Barnes, I have high hopes for, but he's a freshman. You're not going to put him on first team. So
right.
my two guys that I would like fight for are Key Lawrence and Woody Washington.
Yeah. See, I had both of those on my list. I went.
Yeah, I like
running back.
I would argue Key Lawrence and Woody Washington. Those are the two guys I would argue for. Okay, if Dylan Gabriel, newcomer of the year, all right. Like I don't mind that you don't put him on there. Like Spencer Sanders as your first team QB. God, the QB play must be garbage this year. Apparently,
yeah, I had an issue with that. I'm like, I get you can't put Dylan on there, but really, Spencer, like, is there nobody else? Not even Baylor's. Like,
I mean, Texas has their first quarterback, Jesus, that they don't talk about anymore. They have Quinn Ewers, who apparently may not start this year. Because Hudson, they're trying to play that narrative.
Sure.
So he was previous quarterback Jesus, but then they got another quarterback Jesus that's coming as well. So there's two messiahs now, apparently.
One of them's a false messiah.
They're both false messiahs. How about that?
Yeah, we're still going to get to that, but
the one this year is going to get crucified because he has a terrible offensive line.
Exactly. So, but no, I had on my list, like, for me, wide receivers, I really do think they should have had Marvin Mims. Now, I don't have any disagreements. I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, the argument for a lot of people is like he didn't get enough. He didn't get enough, catches or throws his way, which is like I blame the previous head coach who was a little distracted. And that's one thing that came out of media days. Marvin Mims said, "Yeah, I was leaving OU till Riley left, and then I was trying to get away from him, but he left me, so I stayed."
How much? This is now off topic. How much stuff are we ever going to find out from those players? Because it sounds like they're dropping little hints and bits here and there. We'll just Riley, but are we ever really going to get?
We'll just go talk to some guys at the OU Daily. I mean, they've been sneaking around and getting some private shots here and there. I'm sure they have some stories to tell. Everyone hates the OU Daily, but they were doing their job that one week after Texas. Radler and Caleb splitting reps. It's like the whole administration, like it was a big fucking mystery who was going to start versus TCU.
It was Brad.
She's the hero of the Red River Shootout. Who's going to start next week? My God, how dare they?
Yeah.
Report.
But no, it was. I had Marvin Mims. I really did. On defense, you mentioned Woody and Key Lawrence. I had Jalen Redmond, Danny Stutzman, and Billy Bowman also being left out. I just don't see how you get them out.
I love Danny Stutzman, but he still only played sparingly. Billy Bowman still in that potential phase for me. Jalen Redmond has had an injury history and has flashed. I think this could be Jalen Redmond's year. Listen, I don't care about the preseason list. I care about the postseason list. I think that list is going to look a lot different when we get to the end of the year. And that's the one that no one remembers preseason lists. You remember what happens at the end of the year. Like, I remember when the big deal was it like Trey Millard or Dimitri Flowers who didn't get on first team Big 12 postseason because they didn't have a list for H-backs or something? Or I want to say it's Dimitri Flowers. Like, Dimitri Flowers was deserving because he was a playmaker for the team. Because Baker would spam him so many times. Like, look, the H-back. Oh, we forgot to account for the H-back. That's one thing I'll give Riley. As much as I hate the son of a bitch now, that man knew how to use Dimitri Flowers. So,
well, that's why I asked on it, because I guess I'm just baffled on at least on the defensive side for it. Offense, okay, fair. I looked through that list. I went, okay, I get it. Some of it is injury.
Yeah, it don't bother me. It don't really bother me. It was a video. I think I did a video about it, and I was like, whatever. It's like it was something to talk about. It was something to put out there. I didn't make a video today. Like the whole drama with they're still talking about Caleb leaving and his dad, and it's like they're still dragging this shit out, and it's like I knew this shit was gonna trying to validate and all they're trying to make themselves look like the good guy, and it's like I don't care anymore. Like, don't get me wrong, I will watch some USC football this year. I will get some.
They lose. Oh,
I will get some popcorn.
Everybody get in here.
I tell you what, I will have some popcorn ready if Fresno State and USC is like a 3-point game in the fourth quarter.
And that's a possibility.
Yeah, it is because Fresno got a quarterback and USC got no defense. But like I can't like Texas Bama, I can't wait for. Oh my god, I might like.
I'm losing my mind on that one because Texas fans, there's people.
I might
Bama
listen.
has a chance of losing. No, they don't.
I might get my channel taken down because I might be touching myself while watching that game. As Quinn Ewers gets sacked by Will Anderson like 5 straight times. So, oh my god, so good.
I was thinking so. Old school with it.
I apologize to your father. He's like, God, Sean, you're so crude and lewd. It's
no, it's 9:16. They're already in bed at this point.
Oh, okay. I thought they watched this thing.
They watched till 9 o'clock, and then they reach their. We're tired. We're going to bed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know, right? I called Dad out, and I'm like, we only have these on Sundays, and he's like, I'm old. That's fair. But no, I was thinking.
I'm in the afternoon nap stage of my life, so.
Oh, I am too. Yeah. Afternoon naps are good. Do you play nap roulette? Where I could have a 30-minute nap. It could be 3 hours. Let's just spin the wheel of destiny.
Well, no, because I don't. I usually fall asleep streaming stuff. So
yeah.
I have like because I never got a chance to watch it because I didn't care. I'm watching the 03 Ninja Turtles cartoon because it's on Paramount.
Oh yeah, that actually is a good one.
And it's like because I heard, it's actually true to the comic books to an extent. Oh, yeah. Cool, I'll watch that. And it's like, well, I'm getting to a point now where it's like, the stuff I kind of like is kind of over now.
Yeah,
I might keep watching it. We'll see. But
I recommend Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles too. That was a good one.
I'm probably not going to watch that. Like I'm done after this. Like everyone says, well, are you going to watch this? Like, no, I'm not going to watch it anymore. I'm just like, it's stuff to have on in the background while I'm doing shit. So
that's fair. That's fair.
So if I fall asleep to it, I'm not like whatever. Next episode.
It's not Spy Family. Spy Family, you can't fall asleep to.
Well, I watch Spy Family subtitled because that's the only way to watch it. And
anyway, but no, it's the Texas fans genuinely believe they are going to beat Bama. I'm like,
no, they don't. No, they don't. No one believes that.
And then it must be the dumb ones then, because they're like, we're going to be. I'm like, guys, the only way you're going to beat Bama is if they.
No one believes they're beating Bama. No one with a straight face can like look in the mirror and say we're beating Bama. No, you're not. Like Ian Boyd is trying to sell this like mental gymnastics hopium. Hey, listen, it'll be a game in the fourth quarter. Fuck you. It ain't going to be a game in the fourth quarter. Like it'll be a game in the first half, the first quarter. If Texas has the ball first, when it's tied 0-0, that's when it'll be a game. But after that, it's not going to be a game. Will Anderson, unless Will Anderson is suspended or hurt, you're like Texas is fucked.
Exactly, and that's what I said. I'm like
that offensive line, like,
yeah, they had to buy it. Sark even was like, that was a highlight where he was like, yeah. We have some guys. Oh, you're in trouble.
No. The offensive line, like I've read a scouting report on the starting depth of the offensive line without the incoming freshmen. All of them are undrafted free agents.
Yeah.
There isn't not even a 7th rounder on there.
Yeah.
They desperately need at least. This is from like Ketchum. He said they need at least 2 of those freshmen, of the 7 highly touted guys, to be freshman All-America level players to have a 9-win season. So don't sit here and tell me and sell me that they're going to beat Bama. Fuck if they're going to have a shot against Oklahoma. I mean, what I wouldn't give to have last year's front 7 back, can't have. But, Reggie Grimes back. Jalen Redmond going to play his ass off potentially. We got some nice transfers on that D line that I like. Linebacker play. I love our linebacker play right now.
Well, to me, I don't consider the Texas one. What? It's been less than 7.
Listen, if there's
10 years,
if you want to crown, listen, there's 2 games. Well, there's more than 2 games, but. A lot of people are picking again. A lot of people are wanting to say Nebraska is going to beat us. That's one. No, hang on. Casey Thompson's there. Casey Thompson. Remember, so You go up there and win that one, and I'll tell you what, Brent beating Texas, in my opinion, would be fine. We would all take a win over Texas. I'll tell you what, if Brent whoops their asses, and we'll know why if they do, but if Brent just destroys them, he will be crowned very quickly.
Exactly. Because that's the first jump for OU is getting through Texas.
Like the K-State game at home worries me a little bit, just a tad, because because K-State like drives us insane every year, and there's going to be the connection with Brent and everything. So
we haven't beat them in Norman in I think 6 years. It's been a hot minute on it. There are new Texas Tech, and they have a good team coming back. Like I saw the Big 12 stuff. To be fair, when I looked at the rosters, what it is,
lost in 12, lost in 14. We beat them in 16.
Did we beat them in 16? I thought we lost.
We didn't lose a Big 12 game in 16. 15 was on the road. Remember 15 was like the big it was the airport game where we were late. They got in late. They beat 15. That was on the road. 16 was at home. We beat them in 16.
Okay, I guess.
So, yeah,
thinking that it's been a lot more recent than that. But they've been a thorn in our side at home.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. 17 was crazy because that was the Rodney Anderson walk-off, I think.
Yeah.
On the road. So, yeah, K-State's been like, fuck. Every year with these guys, it's like K-State used to be the team that gave Texas all the trouble. Now it's flipped. Now it's our turn. So, but yeah, like I think that's the other. Like if Brent wins that game convincingly, that'll help. But you walk into Dallas and you get because Barry, like historically, Barry's first game as the head coach destroyed Texas. Bob's second game as head coach against Texas destroyed him.
2000. No, that was Yo, you're right. You're right. That was 2000. I'm not thinking 99.
Yeah,
right.
99. That was the Mike Leach dropped the fake play sheet, and and then now if Brent can, that's kind of like if you can give me one wish outside of a national title, obviously for this year. If you give me one wish, I don't just want to beat Texas. I want to beat them into the ground.
That's coming.
I want a 63-13 type of game. I really want that more than anything.
And I think that's coming. I really do. I want to beat them so bad that message boards are worried that Arch Manning is going to decommit. I want to beat them that bad. Don't forget the big games that we destroyed Texas was Brent Venables. All those 63-11, 63-14, that was Venables. So I think he's going to be prepared, and he knows he has to win this. Like, he has to send the message.
Winning it would be fine. Listen, if at the end of the day we just win it, I'm going to look, because the way this game has gone since 2014, I will take it. I will take a W. But I'm thirsty for a blowout win over them, and I just because I have never in my life, which I shouldn't be surprised, I have never seen so much smugness from a team that went 5-7 last year and lost to Kansas.
Yep.
Because they got to commit from the crown prince of college football, who is overrated as fuck, plays bullshit competition at a prep level in Louisiana, can't win a playoff game. Oh, well, he's the number one player. But you just like number one players that dominate on the high school level. Yeah, I do. Because if you're going to be ranked the number one player across the board.
Don't forget, too, one. Not even like a .9999.
No, he has a perfect fucking score. And don't sit here and tell me that the number one player shouldn't be somewhat transformative to your team. Vince Young was also a 1.000, and he carried a bunch of scrubs to his state championship game. I don't want to hear for a second that he's perfect across the board. Now, if you want to sit here and tell me he's a decent 4-star who's got all these tangibles that you love, that's fine. But the reason we have these discussions and we troll you so hard over Archon, which is the most hilarious thing ever, because so many people bite on it. And Mike Farrell was the big reason too. Mike Farrell really pissed them off by calling him a 3-star recruit. I love it. Mike Farrell was I've hated Mike Farrell for years. Mike Farrell's my fucking hero. I love Mike Farrell. But at the end of the day, don't sit here and tell me he's perfect. Because And the other thing I've heard is like, well, you only hate him because he committed to Texas and your school offered him, blah, blah, blah. Bitch,
Oh, no.
We had Malachi Nelson committed before you, whoever a lot of people think is better. And then we got Jackson Arnold, who's about to get his fifth star. And also, I got Twitter proof. I got
you have the receipts.
I got receipts back in October watching his high school game on ESPNU. Outside of one little QB keeper, he looked like shit. Because a 3A Florida school came to visit and whooped his team's ass. Whooped him. Put him in the ground.
And it's what you said. It's marketing. That's the sole reason, because they
it's the Manning brand
who's average.
That's what they tell you. That's a defense mechanism. Well, listen, you have to take the Manning into account because he's getting the best tutelage and his uncles, this and that. So, again, that's great. But don't sit and tell me he's the number one player, because that's the whole point. That's the argument. It's not. No one is trying to say he can't be good or he can't be good with better, because that's another thing. Listen, he's the type of guy who plays better with better players around him. No shit. So did Stetson Bennett. He's not the number one quarterback in the country. He's an undrafted free agent at best in the NFL next year.
Yeah.
You're telling me he's Stetson fucking Bennett at Georgia, because that's what you're. Oh, he plays much better with better players around him. Yeah. So that's Stetson Bennett. You're Stetson fucking Bennett is what you're trying to tell me. Like fucking, it's all mental and he has a good. That's great. Like Arch Manning looks great in isolated pro day type setups where he's throwing 70-yard bombs down the field with no one in his face and wide receivers being uncovered.
And that's the thing. When I saw the Arch Manning, some of his footage, my very first impression was when the ESPN was trying to tweet it out when they were trying to pump it. I'm like, he looks very slow and looks very, very underwhelming. I was surprised for a quarterback. He just wasn't doing anything.
He's going to get killed.
Yeah.
He's going to, as they say, he's going to redshirt in 23.
That's fair. I'm okay with that.
Which most quarterbacks should redshirt. But he's going to they said he's going to redshirt 23, and guess what? More than likely, we're going to be playing SEC football in 24. This whole 25 thing, I don't think it's happening. But
and I was going to ask you that too. But
he's going to likely, the first year he plays college football, it's going to be an SEC schedule. He's fucked. Now, the hope is that these offensive linemen they all got together are going to be better by then, so they better pray that they all work out. I think just the law of averages, a couple will. But man, I'll tell you what, Arch Manning in the SEC year 1 and 24 as a redshirt freshman, he going to get murdered. He going to get killed.
And kind of thinking of it overall, you have to feel bad for Quentin Ewers because he's just in a lose-lose situation.
I don't feel bad for Quentin Ewers. I really don't.
I feel bad for him because it's here comes Arch Manning. You have no shot. You're just the filler. I feel bad for him.
Because what's funny? They sound just like us last year. Oh, it's all planned out. You see, Quinn's going to play this year, and he'll play next year, and Arch will redshirt. Does that sound familiar to you? Oh, we got this. I know we got back-to-back final. Listen, he's going to play this year, and everything's plans change. That. See, that didn't work at a program that was more stable than you and had a winning resume, and it didn't work out. You went 5-7 last year. What do you think's going to happen to Quinn Ewers this year with no O-line? And you go into next year in spring ball. Oh, Arch is going to redshirt. Are you sure about that? You going to keep going with Quinn? This is the most important season in Texas history right now because this is going to decide a lot of things. And in my personal opinion, Steve Sarkisian's a weak head coach.
Oh, absolutely.
He's been a weak head coach. Don't sit here. They try to tell me about his quarterback whispering bullshit. All this, you look at his quarterback resume. Most of those guys that he worked with, he didn't recruit. He recruited one of them, Leinart. That was the one guy he actually recruited. And half the guys he worked with were all he worked with them sort of here and there. It's very spotty. Because, Sark was there the same time Tua was there. All this shit.
Yeah, and look, and as much shit as I give Riley on stuff, yes, he could figure out a good quarterback.
Saban goes through coordinators and assistants. I go through bottles and cans of Baja Blast.
Well, it's like what you said before, Sean, where it was people keep on saying, oh, because they went to the Nick Saban School of Coach Rehabilitation, they're just going to come out like basically the best thing ever. That's not the case. It hasn't been the case except Jimbo Fisher.
Well, I mean, Jimbo. Well, no, don't forget. Rehabilitation. I mean, there's guys. Kirby Smart was an assistant. He won a championship. Jimbo won a championship. I mean,
but Jimbo
it's starting to finally pan out a little bit. Jimbo was like so far removed, though. It was a long, long time ago. It wasn't the Bama. It wasn't Bama. It was LSU. But the point is, you go back and look at that LSU staff. A lot of noble people. But
no, it was Jimbo. There was Stoops, of course. There was Sark. There was one more, wasn't there? And it's like they just rotated in. It's like,
you're talking about what? Mike was like an analyst, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Mike was an analyst or something.
Yeah, but he was.
And then Sark tried to bring him with him, and then everyone at Texas, like all the 10-gallon hats, went, "No, fuck you! You ain't bringing Mike Stoops here." He wanted to put him on. You wanted to put him on staff, and they're like, "Nope."
Yeah, the big money finally spoke up and said, "No, you're not going to do this."
Which was probably the right move, but it's like hilarious. Like people say the boosters don't have any say at Texas, but like, guess what? He tried to bring in Mike. Don't sit here and tell me that he knows what the hell he's doing.
He doesn't. And we see that at USC. He didn't know what he was doing.
Like people are just washing away last year like it was nothing. I'm sorry. You walk into any program, especially one of that magnitude with that talent, you go 5-7. I don't care that you lost the OU game. Fuck you. You totally collapsed the rest of the season. That's inexcusable. Yeah. That's a fire. Like if any OU coach did that was brand new that I was so on, I'd be calling for their fucking heads. I don't care that you'd have to go find a new coach. If that happened here, well, I was like, I don't know about this hire. I would be the crazy Twitter guy, message board guy calling for people's heads. There's a standard at this fucking school. There should be there's no standard in Austin anymore.
Yeah,
I can explain away. Oh, well, it's year one, dude. 5-7 is not year one. Going 8-4, 9-3 is a year one. There's no excuse for the Texas Longhorns to be any worse than 9-3, 8-4.
And I would add, if we want to really talk about Sark with it, that excuse works if he came from like a Fresno State, a Rice.
No, it doesn't work at all. No, it doesn't work if you come from Fresno State, because you know what they also try to tell you now? Texas fans try to tell you, well, we didn't really have as much talent as you say. 24/7 composite says otherwise, bitch.
Oh, yeah. Anybody saying that?
I hear that fucking excuse. Oh, well, the talent, we don't like, well, all these guys left or this. So, like, you know what? Once they get on campus, that's a you problem.
Well, and that's what I was saying.
I don't know what happens when all these big-time recruits get on your campus and they just don't do anything. That seems like a you problem.
See, and I thought the flip side of that, because I didn't know a lot of the Arch Manning stuff. Work's been pretty crazy. And I was like, okay, fine. Let's say he is the one. I have no faith in this Longhorn staff that they're going to develop him. I have zero faith.
That's the beauty part of this. Here's the thing. Let's pretend Arch Manning is the quarterback messiah that everyone's trying to tell us he is, right?
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to walk onto that campus and get any better?
No.
The way they develop, the way that programs develop talent? For fuck's sake, they put 0 people in the NFL draft this past year. I don't want to hear bullshit excuses about, oh, it was a small senior class. Fuck you. I'm in a pissy mood today because I'm sick of the arrogance from their recruiting guys. All the recruiting guys are arrogant pricks. They're all arrogant pricks. Every single one of them, whether it's Ian Boyd, Jeff Ketchum, Anwar Richardson, all arrogant pricks.
Yeah.
They all think their shit don't stink. And they got the balls to like talk shit about OU. Like you know what the funny thing is? They're always talking about OU on their message boards. There's always
they are.
There's always something about OU. You know what? Like I sub to the rivals board for OU. There ain't special shit just about Texas. It's all narrowly focused on what OU is doing
because they want to be us.
Yeah,
they're the Michigan of the Big 12.
They are. It's the perfect comp. Like Michigan. Like Michigan, but even Michigan finally fucking broke through and made a playoff.
Yeah.
At least Harbaugh, more years than not, had double-digit win seasons. He won the games he was supposed to.
Yeah.
I'll give Harbaugh. People were ripping on Harbaugh as like this great coach or whatever. He could be at Ohio State. He'd lose to Michigan State, but damn it, he won those other 9 or 10 games more times than not.
Yeah.
At least Harbaugh did that.
Yeah.
Like, it's been over 1,000 days since Texas beat Kansas, and the last time they beat Kansas was a walk-off fucking field goal.
Yeah.
A walk-off fucking field goal.
Yeah.
And some of you people have the nerve to like stick your nose up after a 5 and 7 year because of your recruiting class right now. Motherfucker, I've seen your recruiting classes year in, year out. You don't scare me. You think Jatavion Sanders scares me? No. Ooh, you have Jonte Cook. I ain't fucking scared. What, are you gonna do anything with these players? You're gonna shit yourselves when you get to Dallas. You're gonna shit yourselves when Alabama comes to town, because that's what a real football team looks like.
Yeah.
And what's gonna happen? Oh, you're gonna fuck up with against Oklahoma State or Baylor. So, like, again, your culture is terrible. Like, nothing has changed this year. Like, what the thing that Moro Ojimo said this past, like, earlier this year, we talk about, guys are just talking about going down 6th Street and everything, and then Sark comes in and shuts him up and says, well, you won't be hearing from him anymore. You shut up one of the few guys in your football team that sounds like a leader. You just basically, just backhanded him in front of the media. Yeah. So it's like, I can't wait. Like, I love to see them suffer and lose because of the arrogance.
Yeah.
And here's my thing about arrogance. I'm an arrogant prick too, right? I can be arrogant. I can be a little out there because of being Oklahoma. But you know what? My program backs up my shit talk more times than not. My program fucking wins championships. They win the conference. They beat the rivals.
Standards.
Yeah, we fucking win games. So if Alabama fans want to be arrogant and say, yeah, we do this and that, good. They have a right to be. Look at all that. They win all the time. Yeah. I can't argue with them.
They literally tell their recruits, you're going to win 2 natties in the 4 years you're going to be here.
Yeah, and they fucking do.
Guess who else does that? Patty Gasso. So,
well, that's a whole different topic.
but
if you score runs against Oklahoma, we just take that player from you now. That's literally what fucking happens. So it's just, but I love to watch Texas lose. Like the day, like there was a period where it's like, man, we need Texas to be good again. Not anymore. We're going to the SEC. We don't need you to do shit. We don't need that. We got to have Texas be good. Not anymore.
Yeah.
I hope we grind them into the ground and they can't get back up. Because you have the fucking balls, like, and this is not just the fans. I'm talking like the recruiting website people. They have the fucking balls to be arrogant. Fucking balls.
Yeah, and I see it too. I see it on social media. I see it on Twitter. I see it on Reddit. It's like, guys, I don't know what you're seeing.
And Ian Boyd's profile pic on Twitter has probably the most punchable baby I've ever seen in my life.
Well, it always will baffle me.
I don't condone punching babies, but
if I did,
that profile pic's been up there for many years. So I think the baby's grown older at this point. At least I think.
Small child, but that's always something. It's its own book. It's its own movie. Why can't Texas get over the hump? What is going on in Austin with it? Then again, they try. It's funny. They try to crack the jokes of y'all just mobile home and need to do that. Yeah, at least I have a mobile home versus y'all's failed power grid. Like, goodness.
It's like I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, so it's the same thing. Like, the Dallas Cowboys fan base as a whole is like, why are you guys arrogant? There's going to be listen. I'll cheer the Dallas Cowboys when they win games. I'll be happy, but. I'm such a battered Dallas Cowboys fan. My dream is not to win the Super Bowl anymore. My dream is to one day make the NFC Championship game just for a chance to make the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that's how bad it is. Yeah, that's how bad it is for me as a Cowboys fan. I root for them just to maybe one day we can play for a chance to make it to the Super Bowl. Because the Cowboys will get good enough one year where they get to the divisional round, and then Aaron Rodgers will just end their life.
Yep. Because that's their destiny right now.
Yeah. And I have no hope for the Dallas Cowboys this year. I'll watch them. I'll root for them. But they had a terrible offseason because the way that I'm going to tangent for that too.
But Sean, too, adding on the Texas stuff too, going back to that with it, it's also too, now that, with all due respect, the media stuff is putting the other programs into light. And I've talked to people that were like, why didn't you go to Texas? We don't like Austin. And they said that we lived in Texas. They're like, we've lived, breathed Texas. Austin, they said exclude it from the rest of it because that's not our football. Like they will go to Texas Tech, they will go to TCU, and they said when stuff finally looked good there, it gave them the excuse not to go to Texas so they could get drafted.
Yeah.
They don't want to go.
Again, like you don't put people in the league. You lose to Kansas more times than not lately. You can't beat Oklahoma. I mean,
you can't beat Oklahoma State.
You can't beat Oklahoma State. But yeah, and them getting Arch Manning, it to me is perfect because like there's no bigger overhyped player in the country for this upcoming class, and there's no more overhyped program, maybe outside of SC. So like it's a marriage made in heaven.
Yeah.
Nothing but hype. All sizzle, no steak. And again, you tell me about Kyle Flood and like, oh, you got like 7 offensive linemen. Like, great. Are they all going to play? Someone's going to transfer eventually.
I got a question.
And it's going to be the wrong one, too. It's going to be the one that you thought was going to suck and it's going to end up being good somewhere else. That's how these things usually turn out.
Here's my question for you. And maybe I'm saying the quiet part out loud. If the Mannings are doing this solely for Arch Manning to go to Texas for marketing, why Texas? Don't they have enough savvy to see that?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you exactly why. Because let's assume for the moment that Arch really is a fraud.
Yeah.
Let's assume Arch really is a fraud. You know who's going to get blamed? It's not going to be Arch. It's going to be Texas. Because think about it.
The built-in excuse.
Why would you go to Texas at this point? Why? It doesn't make any sense. Like if you put 2 and 2 together, Arch is. We need to get
talking specifically Arch. I was thinking players. Like why would they go?
Okay, we want to make our nephew marketable. We want him to get the best chance possible. We can't go to Bama or Georgia because he'll get exposed. Because if he can't work with all that, like those are programs that are well-oiled machines, he'll get exposed. If he goes to Texas, which is his dream school, he grew up, wanting to go to Texas, so we have that little connection there.
Okay, so he did want to actually.
Yeah, there's like old footage out there, pictures of him wearing Texas stuff, which I don't understand that at all because they've been garbage. Like they've been garbage for a long time. Like, what did he watch that he loved? Like, anyway,
yeah,
I'm judging a child here on what they like, so I'm gonna.
But that was 12 years ago, so that would have to be what? If we're taking an 8.
If he said he watched Colt McCoy, loved Colt McCoy, fine. But like the point of the matter. Right. Hey, I love things at 6 years old that I still kind of have a love for to this day. I've been watching Ninja Turtles. So there you go.
Josh, you go to Power Ranger Science. Yeah, you're right.
But it's like, how amazing would it be if Arch sucks and Texas fans see that Arch sucks and then he ends up leaving or whatever. And like Texas is like just okay. Like they're like an 8-win team, 8 or 9 wins, but they don't win the big ones. And like there's strife with the Mannings and Sark, and there's arguments and there's rumors and there's all that stuff. And who's really going to get blamed? It's not going to be the royal family. Oh, because the royal family can't get blamed because every Manning that plays football is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you.
From Peyton, it's their nephew, right?
Yeah, he's the son of Cooper, the least talented Manning.
It's like
he had a health issue. I'm not ripping Cooper. Cooper's fine, but it's like I just love the fact that it's Cooper's kid. It's not Peyton or Eli's. But no, it's amazing to me. That's like because you're gonna this is gonna take years to pan out, but I can't wait. I can't wait to see Arch just totally suck ass at Texas.
And he will. Like I said, I will go
if he ends up going there. Because man, I'll tell you what, if they shit the bed this year, there's gonna be a lot of nervous Texas fans worried about losing Arch. And I will have no problem placating that fear. It'll be so much fun. That's why I said I'm rooting. I'm rooting for a beatdown of epic proportions in Dallas if we can make it happen this year. I really am. If we can make that happen, I will be so happy. It can't be Bama. It can't be Bama because everyone expects Bama.
Except Texas. Unless outside of the insane fans who are like, we're going to beat it. No, the Heat's going to beat Bama, guys. You ain't going to beat it.
Yeah, well, you see, Bama's not used to playing the Heat because they play up in North Alabama and Tuscaloosa because that's where they're in the northern side of the state where it's much cooler.
No, Sean, they're not used to it because they're used to playing what's it called? Neutral site games in the beginning indoors. They're not used to it.
This is true. We finally got Nick Saban to play a fucking road game in September, non-conference. First time in like a decade.
And of course, it'd be against Texas.
Well, the last time he did it was Penn State, but that was already on the schedule. That was like year 2 for Bama, and he couldn't get out of it, so he had to go to Penn State.
Yeah, but yeah, Texas is a mess, man, and it sucks because we have our buddies like who are good people, but it's like how?
No, I don't have any problems with them per se. I'm still going to talk to Garrett. I'm going to I'm going to be cordial and poke fun at him about arching on and stuff like that. But no, like I don't hate the fan. There's only a couple of Texas fans that I know of that I despise, but that are like Twitter people. But
yeah,
but like the people I hate are like the media, the recruiting guys. Those guys suck.
Yeah,
like,
they do.
Those are the ones who I'm like, who the fuck are you? Like, bunch of like Jeff Ketchum's the dude who I love. Twitter's so great, especially when you don't delete stuff. Jeff Ketchum's the dude who back in 2013 said, "Really, USC? You hired Sark? You could do better than that."
Yeah.
But now Sark is a quarterback whisperer.
You know, it's funny because if there's one thing I always give Red Dirt Sports for, he always has those receipts and he always delivers.
Oh, we have in his Discord, we have a whole channel in that Discord dedicated to receipts.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
You have no idea how petty I'm going to be if we win the Big 12 this year.
Oh, that's gonna be fantastic.
Like if we just win the Big 12 this year, like with a win over Texas and OSU and stuff like that, I will be a petty bitch. I will be so fucking petty. I'm going to pull we're going to end up being Nebraska comments from Cover 3. I'm going to pull all the Ketchum, all the Texas stuff. I'm going to pull it all. Heaven forbid, don't let us make the playoff. Do not let us make the playoff this year because it'll be worse. Do not let us make the playoff this year. You need to beat us twice this year. Someone has to beat Oklahoma. We have K-State, TCU, like whoever it is. You better beat. Someone give us a second loss this year. I will be a petty bitch on the internet, and I will not feel bad about it afterwards.
And you'll get the views for it too.
I don't know. I don't even care about views. I don't care about. This is not about rep. I don't care. I will just be a petty bitch. I will be loud and obnoxious more so than I am already.
You're going to be proving the Sooner fans suck type of level, won't you?
No, I'm not even mad at Uncle Lou. Uncle Lou's not doing that to be a troll. Uncle Lou's doing that because he's trying to make picks, and I have no problem with that. Uncle Lou did his stuff today. He said Nebraska's going to beat us, and I think he said OSU's going to beat us. And I'm like, you know what? Fine. That don't make me mad. He picked Texas to beat us, and I called him out. I was like, no, you wrong for that. He knows he's wrong. He thinks we're going to be an 8 or 9 win team, which that's fine. I don't mind if someone says, listen, I think you're going to be an 8-9 win team because you have turnover, this and that. I don't have a problem with that.
They're being realistic.
No, I don't have a problem. But like when you say we're going to like not do things and you don't even know why.
Exactly.
You can't quote like that's the shit that always pisses me off. It's like, and it's been all off season. You'll talk about what people gain that you want, that like the USC's and Texas. Here's what they gained. Here's what Oklahoma lost. We got stuff. Here's what you lost.
Mm-hmm.
Like Venables has no fucking respect from people because of the whole never been a head coach bullshit.
Yeah.
And like as we talked about like earlier, it's like, dude, when it comes to recruiting, he recruits like a fucking head coach, like an elite head coach. So he's got part 1 down. He got part 1 down.
Can he win on the field?
I'll tell you what, man. Like here's the thing about Brent we have to take into account, because I can hype up and say we're going to win all our games, and I believe we can. I think OU is capable of beating everyone on their schedule this year. Is it going to happen? Not likely. But I think we'll
keep going.
But it's like my thing with like how is Brent going to handle clock management, timeouts? What's going to be his How's he going to run things on 4th down? Is he going to go for it on 4th and 1? Is he going to punt? Like all these little things that you got to do as a head coach. How is he going to be in those situations? Like that's if you say, hey,
there's things we don't know yet.
Yeah, if you come out and say, listen, my concerns is for Brent Venables, like we need to know this, and that, that's fine. That's a rational and fair question to ask. But when you just like blanketly question everything else,
without having anything else back as well.
No, it's like he's not some 35-year-old newbie. He's been in the sport for a minute. And Big 12 Media is like, I've learned under Bill Snyder and Bob Stoops and Dabo Sweeney. That shit matters.
Yeah, that's always bugged me, where they're like, I don't know how Venables is going to do.
He's not
literally built.
You know who he's not?
From the ground up.
I think a lot of people thought he was going to be like Billy fucking Napier. Because Billy Napier at Florida is struggling. Because we talked about it, like Billy Napier's struggling right now.
Yeah.
He was the hot coach at like Louisiana or whatever. Florida hired him. That fan base is not happy right now. They're pissed.
And he hasn't even played a game.
No, again, I think that's what a lot of people were thinking was going to happen because, well, you lost Riley, one of the best recruiters. Like, have you seen Brent Venables recruit? And he brought that's another thing. People who follow the fucking sport,
right?
Who know who Todd Bates is, they know who he is, at least recruiting wise. It's like, dude, have you seen go look at the lists of like top recruiters position wise? Todd Bates is up there for D-line. And what are we doing right now? Our D-line recruiting is going through the fucking roof. Yeah, and if we get Derek LeBlanc at the end of the year, it's going to be, and heaven forbid we get Hicks. We get David Hicks at the end of the year too. It's going to be the best D-line class top to bottom we've had ever.
Yeah.
So it's just, well, yeah, but it's like, it's just like Jeff Lebby. It's like, oh, we lost Lincoln Riley. Like, there is no one else outside of like that you could have gotten the best replacement. The guy, that's mostly Lane Kiffin. Okay, we're gonna find out. Lebby was running Baylor's offense when it was running all cylinders 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So
it's that beat us.
Yeah, and so it drives me insane. That it's like, I don't know who else they had to get. There was no one better they could have gotten. And they kept Bill Bedenbaugh. And they kept DeMarco Murray. And it's like, you look at this coaching staff and it's like, I know not everyone doesn't pay attention to everything. It's like, my God, this is a really solid staff. Yeah. And if they can stick together for a couple of years, they could do so. They can do some damage.
Yeah, Teddy Lagan said on his podcast he predicts OU's going to win a natty in 3 years.
No,
stuff is just aligned too much. Then again, Teddy,
there's a lot of things that are out of our control to potentially do that. Like, I don't want to. Like, I think I want to see where we're at in 5. Yeah. Because we got to stack some classes first before I really think we can win. Like, for us to win a natty, you're going to have to beat straight up Bama or Georgia. You're going to have to you can't just like finesse your way to a win against them. You got to straight up beat them.
Right. But
and that's what you're going to have to be. Like, you might beat an Ohio State. You might beat, if you're lucky, you get to play a Michigan State or someone else. But like, you got to win those battles in the trenches, man.
Yeah.
And we need another year or two, in my opinion, to really, really like stack those lines where, heaven forbid, if someone important goes down, you have someone right behind them who's almost as good or just as good take their spot. Like, to win a natty, that's what you need. Like, Georgia was so good this past year. Quarterback play was almost irrelevant.
Because of defense.
It was insanely good. Like, people were talking about how legendary the 2019 LSU team was, bro. No one's going to put that Georgia team up there because of Stetson Bennett, just because of the quarterback. But man, that fucking defense, like, they made certain SEC teams look so bad that I questioned how good the SEC was. It just turns out Georgia was just that damn good.
Yeah. Because
Arkansas beating A&M, and then they're like, oh, Georgia, Arkansas, and they just crush Arkansas. And they just crush Florida, and they crush South Carolina. And some of those teams weren't very good. like legitimately.
But they crushed them. They took care of
But they were crushing teams. And it was just like, my God. And then Bama beat them in the SEC title game. It was like, okay, they've come down to earth a little bit. But that's the one team. But that's the only team who could compete with them like that.
Right.
So it was just, good God. Now, Georgia's not going to be that good this year. They'll still be really good and a playoff contender.
I mean, they're going to be happy just winning something in 40 years. Like, they'll be fine.
No, like, listen, like, Georgia finally got over that hump. Like, there's, like, they were one, like, they it's not shocking they won a national title. It's just that they kept on, they kept having, like, the Lucy Charlie Brown football moment with Alabama. Alabama was always that stick in their craw, man, every single time. And they finally got over the hump in the biggest game when it mattered the most. And Bama fans will complain about, our receivers got hurt. You're Bama. Like, I don't want to hear complaining about injuries, bro. Like, Jalen Waddle got hurt, like, in the COVID year. Like, he wasn't even the best receiver on the team, but he was damn good. He was like, Jalen Waddle was my favorite player to watch outside of OU.
Yeah.
He was so good. And then he got hurt, but they didn't miss a beat because they're wide receiver, because, like, they had a guy who ended up winning a Heisman Trophy at wide receiver. And then Jalen Waddle came back and played, like, for a few snaps of the title game against Ohio State, but it's like,
just to say he did, yeah.
But again, but Jalen Waddle got hurt, and you guys didn't miss a beat. So I don't want to hear about excuses. They lost, because some Bama fans are cranky, and they finally lost to Georgia. Georgia earned that. They earned every bit of that.
Yeah, and it's no different than Michigan. Michigan earned it, kind of, sort of, against Ohio State, but they won. That's what people are going to remember. Georgia definitely earned it. Gosh, they earned it. Like, I
was like, until they made that pick late, where Bryce Young just launched that thing, and it got picked. I was like, I thought they were okay. They're gonna drive down and tie this game, force overtime.
Yeah,
it's one of those things. Until I see it happen, I'm not gonna go with it. But
yeah,
that was like, oh, it happened. Okay, there we go. Georgia won an Eddie. Okay, what else is left of the docket? Like OU, Notre Dame. Notre Dame's 88. OU's 2000. Tennessee's like 98. Michigan's 97. Yeah.
That's what I said. I was thinking about that. I'm like, all right, Georgia won theirs.
Michigan, Nebraska, 97. So
Nebraska, that's another one.
SC, technically for SC, God.
03.
Well, I think they still count 04 because the AP didn't.
Yeah.
The AP didn't take it. The BCS trophy got taken away, but the AP title is still in their trophy room, so they still count 04, and they should. Like, I don't care at this point. I remember when that was a big hubbub. It was like, oh, SC got their BCS title strip. It doesn't change the outcome of the game.
Right.
Like, I'll joke with USC fans, like, I don't see it on the record anymore. Did we play you guys? I don't see it anywhere. It doesn't seem to exist. Auburn's trying to claim that shit. I'm like, fuck you.
No, yeah, I got that.
Fuck you, Auburn.
We'll wrap it up. That's what we'll end with, Sean. Is I saw that on a Reddit thread where they're like, "What teams were the biggest snubs in the BCS thing?
You should have won it." Auburn would have gotten killed by SC.
Yeah, and I said, guys, first off, y'all need to learn what a snub
because Auburn got killed by SC on their home field the year before. They were dominated by that team. I don't want to hear any of that shit. Auburn was good. They weren't that good.
Yeah. Well, and it was just like, they're like Utah, 2008. No, they would have gotten murdered too, guys. Like, they were good, but you look at their schedule, it was garbage.
No, they would have done all right. I think they would have done fine.
I saw Auburn. No, I'm not a believer of Auburn for that one. Kind
of like Williams, though. He was so good.
I know. And then there was the only one I agreed with that they were initially listing was Miami 2000, but you don't lose to Washington. That's what it comes down to.
Oklahoma won. Hey, look, Oklahoma won all their games. They didn't pick who they played in that Orange Bowl that year. That wasn't our decision.
Yeah.
We won all our games. We got invited. So
yeah. Well, and I said the only teams I genuinely believe that
let's not pretend Florida State was some scrub team either.
No. They were coming off what's his name? Like No, they weren't. It was kind of the last run before they got their stuff under Jimbo. But yeah, no, they weren't scrubs. Like the only team I believe, like there's very few, but Kansas State '98, like there's a rule for it. They got snubbed out of a BC.
Well, don't fumble the ball and lose in double overtime to Texas A&M.
Right, but they did get snubbed out of it.
Don't fumble the ball when you're running the clock out.
But then there was people who were like, oh, 2001, like Nebraska. I think they mentioned like Washington. I'm like,
no, Nebraska had no business playing for a title. No one.
Yeah, but nobody mattered for it because they were just going to be the sacrificial lamb against Miami anyway. Like there was no.
I don't know. Florida or Oregon could have given them a run for their money.
You think
more than Nebraska? More than like I think Oregon would have gotten crushed. I think Florida would have done better. Nebraska, like they were still playing that ancient triple option against like 6 first rounders on that front seven. They had no shot.
But that Miami team was damn good, man.
No, it's one of the best teams ever, and they're trying. You can't run triple option against that team. Like, listen, that 01 OU team defensively was great. We would have gotten crushed.
Oh, absolutely.
Like our offensive line was all we had was like Q and like Trent Smith to throw the football to. We would have gotten murdered.
Oh, I forgot the biggest one too to tie it all together, Sean. There's the 2008 Texas people who said they got snubbed. I'm like, then don't lose to Tech.
Yeah,
you didn't get snubbed. I'm sorry, your coach can't do math like Bob did of blow people out for it to benefit you.
That was the peak of the Big 12 conference. That was the peak of that league.
Absolutely.
And then it was all downhill from there.
Because
all down 09. The Big 12 died after after they fucked Nebraska over.
Yeah. And I said
all downhill from here.
Yep. I think about that retroactively of what would it be if they didn't give it back in Nebraska.
What caused all this realignment? So caused it all.
Yep. And it caused it again with Nebraska because all we wanted to do was play Nebraska at night.
Nebraska's the key.
Yeah.
Save the cheerleaders, save the world, save Nebraska, save college football.
Exactly.
I just made a heroes reference. That's what I did.
I'm proud of you.
Not really. I'm not proud.
Well, I'm proud of you. So, Sean, let's wrap this up. Thanks for coming on. Again, any final words, any final thoughts on anything?
No. People are asking me to do a video like today. Like, no, I'm done. I should just I should just link them to this. They can watch this.
Yeah, they could. You could watch.
That's what I should do.
Do it. Do it.
Yeah, that's what I'll do.
I'm proud of you. Do it. But yeah, everybody, thanks for joining in. Again, comment, rate, subscribe. Be sure to hit the notification bell, notify when we go live. Starting next live stream, July 31st, we are coming back to the regular schedule of every Sunday because football is literally 7 Saturdays away.
We'll see.
Now, Sean may not be on it for August.
We'll see every Sunday. I ain't making those promises.
Right, but once we get into like the normal season stuff, absolutely, because we'll have post game stuff to talk
about. I almost like decided to go to Washington D.C. in a couple weekends, but
Anime Con.
Yes, but I realized it would have been I'd be stretched way too thin.
Yeah,
like I would have had a room available to stay, but just to get there and get back in a timely manner, that would have been a pain.
Yeah, but still.
I would just be going for one thing, and it's not worth the trip just to go for one thing. So,
yeah, especially with these gas prices and flights. But regardless, I'm gonna do my best to start July 31st to get back on the every Sunday schedule through the college football season. This is year 2 for doing this, and I'm announcing it now, starting in the regular season, even a little bit in preseason. Wednesdays, I'm also going to be doing a live stream with my buddy Andrew and Justin, and we have kind of our show figured out what we're going to do for it. So tune in for that. I think y'all are going to enjoy it with it. We're going to start that either at the beginning of August or the middle. We haven't decided yet for it, just because that's going to be more of a different type of show. Again, Sean, thanks for joining. Everyone coming up at this point, we've got stuff to preview. We've got schedules to preview, what lineups will look like and everything like that. So again, guys, thanks for tuning in. Remember, only one. See y'all here in a couple weeks. Later.